So we'll see what is a function in C. A function is a group of statements that perform a particular task. So we can write few programming statements and we can call it together as a function. And every C program has at least one function, which is the main function. So functions is the basic building block. So the programming statements are written inside a set of braces, and it is given a name. And using that name, a function can be called multiple times. Also, it is easy to understand the functions because if it's a big program, instead of going through the complete program, we can break down the program into multiple functions. Also, if we are writing a function, we can avoid rewriting the same logic again and again. Instead, we can call the function any number of times in a program. So this allows us to have a modularity as well as reusability in the C programming. In connection with function, we need to understand a few terms. First one is function prototype or function declaration. A function declaration tells the compiler about a function's name, return type, and parameters. So it is used in the very beginning of the program to mention that this function is being used in this program. So the format or the general format of a function prototype is return type followed by the function name, and we provide the parameter list inside the bracket. Next one, function call. A function get called when the function name is followed by a semicolon. So this is a way we call a function from a program. So this function can be called from a main function or from another function. So what we need to specify is we need to specify the function name and the parameter list inside the bracket. Next, function definition. So this is where we say what is that function. So we define the function name and then we open the braces and we mention all the statements which is required to perform that task. So here we say that okay, this is the logically this is what the function is going to do, and the actual implementation of the function is provided here. So general format is return type, then the function name, and we'll provide the formal parameter list. Then open the braces. Inside we'll provide the programming statements and then close the braces. Now we will see in detail what are the different parts of a function. So we have seen the format as return type, function name, then the parameter list and the body of the function. So what does it mean? Return type. Return type is the data type of the value that the function returns. That means if the function performing an activity and returning a value, and what is the data type of that value? For example, if it is function is doing sum of two integer numbers and the result is another integer number. So then the return type is of data type int. If the function is not returning a value, then we need to mention the return type as void. Next, function name. So this is the actual name of the function. So if you want to call this set of statements using a name, and that is the name of the function. Next, parameters. Parameters is the method through which we pass values to the function. So when we call the function, we need to pass the parameters in order to perform some activity. So this is the parameter list which is passed to the function. Next, function body. Function body is nothing but the collection of statements that define what the function does. So this is where you mention the logic, and this is what are the activities or what you want to perform using that function. So if the purpose of the function is to sum two numbers, so we'll have the logic or the statements to add two numbers inside the function. Or if the purpose of the function is to find the largest of two numbers, then we will have the logic to find the largest of two numbers inside the function body. So let's see an example for function. So what you are seeing is a function to find the largest of two numbers. So the function name is great num, and the data type or return type of the function is int. And we have the list of parameters specified inside the bracket, that is int num1 and int num2. So that says that num1 and num2 are of data type int. Next, we'll see the function body. So inside the function body, which is written inside two braces, inside the function body, what we have is the logic to find the largest of two numbers. So the logic is simple. If num1 is greater than num2, then the result is num1, else result is num2. So the result is the local variable which is declared inside the function greatNum, and this variable is only available. The scope of this variable is limited to this function. Hence, in order to return the value to the calling program, we need to return the results. So that is the return value, return results. So when a return statement is used, the control is transferred back to the calling program, and also it returns the value to the calling program. So we'll see how the function is called inside the main program. So here what we have is int greatNum int, which is called function declaration, which consists of the return type as int, greatNum is the function name, and int comma int, which is given in the bracket, is the parameter list. So this says that this function greatNum is expecting two parameters of data type int, and it returns the value of data type int. Now inside the main, we are asking the user to enter two numbers. Then we are calling the function greatNum inside the main function. So greatNum followed by a comma b. A and b are the variables on which user gives the values to check, and we are assigning the return value. The value returned by the function is assigned to a max value variable. So the max value variable is of data type int, which accept the value returned by greatNum function. So next statement is we are printing the greater value which is stored in the variable max value. So this is how we call a function from a program or another function. So what are the different types of function? There are two types of functions. One, built-in functions, Second one, user-defined functions. Built-in functions are also called as library functions. These are the functions provided by the system and they are stored in the library. So we can directly use these functions inside the program. Example, scanf, printf, and other built-in string functions. Second one, user-defined functions. So these are the functions written by the user when they are writing the program. So these can be ad hoc the way the user want to represent the logic. He can split the program into one or many functions. These functions can be with arguments or without arguments, and they can be with a return value or without a return value. And it's all decided by the user who write these functions. Now we will see what are the types of function calls. There are two methods used to pass the data into the function. They are call by value and call by reference. In call by value, the the actual value of the argument is copied to the formal parameter of the function. Thus, the value gets stored or copied into the function. Hence, any changes you are made to the parameter inside the function have no effect on the actual arguments or the actual variables. Second one is called by reference. In this method, the reference or the address of an argument is passed or copied to the parameter. So instead of value, here address is copied. Hence, this address or reference is used inside the function to perform the task, and any change made to the address location inside the function will affect the actual arguments. Now we will see an example for call by value method. So in this example, the function name calc, which has one parameter x of data type int, and the calc is not returning any data, hence the return data type is void. Inside the main program, there is a variable declared int x, which is local to the main function and assigned and initialized with the value 10. Now we are calling the calc function with this value x. So calc x is the function call. Inside the function, what we are doing is we are changing the value of x equal to x plus 10. The initial value of x was 10, hence on adding 10 to this makes the new value as 20, and we are displaying that value of x in the calc function. Once it is displayed, the control is returned back to the main function. There also we are displaying the value of x, that is the value of x in the main function, and we are returning 0, hence the main function get completed. Now we have the initial value as 10, and inside the calc function we change the value as to 20. So on displaying, the output is like this. The value of x in the calc function is 20 and value of x in the main is 10. The value inside the main is not changed since we have copied the value to the while calling the function calc. So any changes within the calc function is only affecting that copy or the new stored value, and it has not made any change to the value inside the main function. Next, we will see an example for call by reference method. So here also we have the calc function, and which is not returning any value, hence the return data type is void, and the parameter to the calc function is an pointer which is of type int. That means it is going to accept the address location of the integer value. So inside the main we have int x, which is initialized as 10, and we are calling the calc function using passing the address of x as an argument. So we are having ampersand s, which is nothing but the address of variable x. So inside the calc we are changing the point using the pointer, we are incrementing the value by 10. So star p equal to star p plus 10, which actually changing the value that is stored at the address which is passed to this function. So on displaying the output, what we are seeing is value of p in the function is 20, because we are making the, so it is, the function is accepting the address and we are making change to the value stored in that address location. Since the value stored in the address location is changed, it is affecting the calling program also. Hence, the value of x in the main is also changed. So this is the difference between call by value and call by reference method. In call by value, the value is copied to the function, whereas in call by reference, the address of the variable is copied to the functions. Hence, any change we are making inside the function is affecting the main or the calling function.